Good evening. Welcome to 1619 AD Speaks Poetry, an anthology of African American poets and amazing African American poets expressing themselves about who influenced them. We stand on shoulders of giants. And we're the next generation of those poets who express our story. August 20th, 1619. That's the first recorded time that African slaves arrived in the United States, that we know now, the United States of America, in Jamestown, Virginia. From that point forward, we've been struggling to try to express ourselves. We weren't able to even write the first couple of hundred years we were here, till the late 1800s. In some states, slaves could, most they couldn't. And from that point forward, we have been struggling to tell our story, our own story. As you can see, the climate and things that are going on in this country right now, it's still a struggle. The expression of the African American poet has been throughout that time period right there. So tonight, you're going to hear from the poets that are listed in our anthology, and we appreciate you being out this evening. Now, the public service announcement, we have a survey that we would like you to do that's in the back before you leave this evening. So we'd like you to do the survey. It doesn't take a lot of time. Don't worry, it's not prying questions, but we would like you to do that this evening. So once again, we thank you for being out this evening for the book launch of 1619 AD Speaks Poetry. I'm going to get us started this evening. And by the way, my name is Woodrow Bailey. I'm one of the contributors to 1619 AD Speaks Poetry. I want to thank all the poets once again that contribute to this project, the editors that have put this book together as well. We'll really appreciate it this evening, you being out. I'm going to get started this evening with a piece. This is the inspiration from the great James Baldwin on a speech he did about 1960 on language, race, and the Black writer. I'm going to improvise as a writer, the documenter, citizen. I breathe for change, born for the notion to speak a language freely. I'm part of a tribe. I'm another Black scribe, writing prose in midnight, prose in an abyss, prose in my culture. Music pounds my soul in spirituals, blues, as jazz, as gospel, as R&B, as rap, as my contemporaries, as I think of. Our misery as social economic slaves, embarking on shifts of apathy, begging for civil rights, when no one wants to be civil. No conscience helps with this new of evil. The streets always smell like piss. Investigate the rebellion codes, insurrection, assassinating out our icons. We all know what happened. Their stance was rebellious, push an agenda, raise children instead of Netflix, as we all needed for entertainment, sports. Unions can't help oppression. Stop psychological inquiry. Black mama holds her child, hoping for justice as bullets. Don't watch out for them. Our ancestors are not mules. They're beaten, shackled, and raped. As this melting pot boils over, as we know who we are. Rewrite those history books with fire so we can cancel alone. You don't know any color? If we act like, if we won't succumb to, will be better for our future. That statement doesn't clean filthy water, in Jackson or Flint. Education is a machine with its own life, threatened with its own destruction. Corporate to gentrify our ghettos. Greed paid for that involvement. Afraid of our pain, trouble, sorrow. Homeless in our bodies, minds, spirits. Patience, as no one seems to care. Beware. I resolve. She resolves. He's involved. You didn't care. Thank you. Right, we're going to get started with some amazing poets, as I said this evening. First up, Fly High is a first generation Jamaican American writer and poet based in Los Angeles. Her work speaks to her journey into womanhood and encompassing themes as childhood trauma, healing, and liberation. She hopes to provoke thought and lead others to take an inspired action directed towards becoming a better version of themselves via self-awareness, discovery, daily conscious practices. She's currently working on her first collection of poetry called Metamorphosis. Set release date this year, 2023. You can follow her on Instagram at Fly High 2Ys. Coming up now is Fly High.
Hey friends. Can we give just like a round of applause or some snaps for everyone in the audience right now? And I also want to give a special shout out to Woody for coming up with this idea and helping to really make it into what it is today, what some of you may be holding in your hands right now. I think it's just so beautiful when you can have an idea and watch it grow, right? Watch it in the soil and for it to sprout and come up into this actual thing that you can hold in your hands, that you can see with your eyes and just watch it, flourish. You can watch it fly. And I think that's just so beautiful. So I want to give a little bit of snaps also for all the contributors, everyone who's here in this room that was a part of this. I want to give you guys some love. So my contribution to this has to do with Audre Lorde. She is one of my favorite poets. She has a quote where she says, "My silences had not protected me, and your silences will not protect you. But for every real word spoken, for every attempt that I had ever made to speak those truths for which I am seeking, I had made contact with other women while we examined the words to fit in a world which we all believed bringing our differences together." And so I think that it's important that we, you know, don't allow our silences or the ways in which we have stifled ourselves and not allowed ourselves to speak our truths to hinder us, right? We need to speak our truths in order to connect to others and help, upliftment, right? So without further ado, I'm going to speak to my ancestor, to Miss Gamba Adisa Audre Lorde. She later changed her name to Gamba Adisa, and this is my contribution to 1619 Speaks. Gamba Adisa, visionary, creator, and Black woman, you came earthside to us as a gift, taking on many forms, yet all in reverence to your chosen name. Your poetry and life's work laid the foundation for us, the poets, artists, and storytellers, to witness the deep knowings of your soul. You taught us that the salt and sugar on our tongues, combined with the sweetness, the bitterness of truth, combined with the sweetness of words to create a fresh perspective and change, is for all of us. Now I dig in deeper within myself, carving out anything that no longer serves the purpose of truth telling, creating safe spaces for brown faces to be seen, heard, understood freely. We fashion ourselves, our lives, and our communities into an act of resistance laying the foundation for the next generation to become even more evolved than the last. So here we are, storytellers, poets, and artists charged with the work of becoming channels, receptacles, carriers of messages, tilling our own soil, becoming the change we want to see. And if just one receives the message, our work has not been in vain because just like you, Gamba Adisa, we too can create a world where truth and beauty bloom. Wow. Thank you.
Once again for Fly High, thank you. Tommy Domino is a member of the Stillwater's Writers Collective and the Watts Writers Workshop too. And a poem collective, Never Speaks Long Beach.
Here comes a hot poet. Rah, rah.
In 2022, he was the Community Literatures Initiative Teacher of the Year. Coming to the stage now is Tommy Domino.
Come on, Tommy.
Wow, this was a tremendous honor to be here. I remember me and Wood having a couple of words just at a book signing. He was talking about 1619. This was years back. And I was like, yeah, let's make it happen. And he stayed the course. When I say this brother stayed the course, you know, I was like, okay, I just want to put a poem in there. I don't know if I want to work. Put me and Fly to work, but we was working. So, but this is amazing. 1619 speaks. I feel like my whole poetry life has come to this moment. Because I remember when I was sitting in my class, my CLI class, season 4, Hiram says, what is your obligation to poetry? And that's when I came up with the poem Roots, which became sort of my signature call, and that speaks directly to this piece of work. But I wanted to read an excerpt from how I was inspired to write the piece of the book. And it came from Nikki Giovanni. And the poem is called Quilting the Black-Eyed Pea. And there's an excerpt in this particular poem that really inspired me to write the poem. It says, the people who were captured and enslaved immediately recognized the men who chained and whipped them and herded them into the ships so tightly packed there was no room to turn, no privacy to respect, no tears to fall without landing on another, were not kind and gentle and centered for the state of their souls. No, the men with whips and chains were understood to be killers, feared to be cannibals, known to be sexual predators. The captured knew that they were in trouble in an unknown place without communicable abilities with a violent and capricious species. But they could not look out and see signs of home. They could still smell the sweetness of the air. They could see the clouds floating above the land they loved. But they reached a point where the captured could not only look back, they had no idea which way back might be.
Come on.
There was nothing in the middle of the deep water to indicate which way home might be. And in that moment, when a decision had to be made. So the name of my piece is called The Doors of No Return. In 1619, my ancestors were stolen and brought here in shackles through the doors of no return, tongues cleaved, customs erased, God defaced, and an ancient people once flourishing in a land of the great sun, sardined into boats named blue-eyed deities and escorted by sharks. Priceless cargo brimmed with builders of pyramids, inventors of mathematics, astrologists, root practitioners, and healers. The soul of the world, hip hopped every hurdle of segregation, black codes, red lines, and Jim Crows. Cotton scars tattooing palms, migrating desert blues to the Midwest, East, West, and West Coast. God in us and God, be Moja. And Moja is the translation of one in Swahili. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Once again, for Brother Tommy Domino. James Coates, an author and poet and educator born in Los Angeles and raised in the Inland Empire. He received his BFA from Cal Poly Pomona and his MBA from Cal State San Bernardino. He believes the arts inspire and influence positive change in the world. His first collection of poetry in 2018. He's a winner of the 2021 San Gabriel Poetry Slam. In 2021, he founded an organization, Lift Our Voices Education, which hosts award-winning monthly called The Change Social Justice Writing Workshop. He became an artist in resident at the Garcia Center for the Arts in 2022. His newest poetry collection, Midnight and Mad Dreams, published by World Stage Press. You can find him attending poetry readings throughout California. Follow his poetry on Instagram at Mr. Loving Words. Coming to the stage now is Mr. James Coates.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I'm really excited to be part of this anthology. Beautiful poets, beautiful work. When I got the call to submit, I didn't have a lot of inspirational poems written about the Black experience, and so I began trying to write poems related to that. I always enjoy trying to use forms of individuals that have come before us, Black writers who've come before us. And so I do a lot of exploration with that. And so this particular poem is a double golden shovel based on Langston Hughes' poem Harlem. And so the quote is, "What happens to a dream deferred?" And so this is titled Our Seeds. Deferred of hope, left waiting, and for what? Dreams should I sacrifice? So much witnessing happens. A day turns into an escape, a hiding place to survive a year. Life becomes the opposite of grade A. Happens again all the time. Seeds laid in the ground, a dream. What if our buried dreams don't have their growth deferred? And thank you. And so I want to share, it's a really short poem. I want to share this other piece from Langston that also relates to dreams. Again, it's a golden shovel, but this is based on his poem, actual poem titled Dreams. And so you'll hear the words from that if you're familiar with the poem. And this is also titled Dreams. These wispy wire fingers keep trying to hold on to the intangible things that move too fast to grasp like luck or love. Still, they're going to reach knowing what it is to chase starry dreams. Each day, the end comes a little closer for so many, and the future even more hazy. If only we had a map to follow our dreams, then I would no longer be afraid to die because of my striving to make this life matter to someone other than myself. Is it a crime to imagine launching towards a desire, learning how to fly with broken wing gestures aimed towards hope, freely moving as a bird, not worried about tomorrow's meal, trusting that provisions will be taken care of, knowing we cannot run from the sky we are born into, ready to fall or fly? I am desperate to make the right choice. Hold the line thin enough to blur needs. At this speed, it appears as if, at this speed, fast appears as if it's not moving forward to those standing still while watching their dreams pass on by. Maybe they have time or are waiting for a next life to take a risk. Once the dollars are secure, that's when they will begin to work on their dreams. However, what I know is even the blessed plans don't go exactly the way we intend. There's a serendipity to life, and I can only count on this one breath. Time is cruel if you allow it to become your master. A cage, no matter how opulent its bars, are as barren as a soul with no reason to plant or tend its fields. The sun will rise even in winter, and the frozen ground will eventually melt. But what will you do with all you're given? Enjoy or curse the fallen snow? Thank you.
James Coates, thank you. When you think about what's going on now, and the hot term always is cancel culture. Remember in the about 100 and some years ago, when they started the Harlem Renaissance, they were being pushed out. Langston Hughes and those great poets tried to write into the praises, and they couldn't. They started their own movement in Harlem. And most of these fantastic poets that are doing these pieces tonight, most of the stuff come from those poets from the Harlem Renaissance. Tyron Thompson is a Los Angeles, California-based poet who studies cultures and people, making them exciting. Then write about it. His previous work has been featured in the Rise Up Review, Rigorous Magazine, and George Floyd Poetry Anthology. When he's not writing, he's a resourceful human behind the computer screen. Some of his work can be shared on Instagram at Ty Writer. Coming to the stage now is Tyron Thompson.
I got music and everything. Thank you so much. I appreciate being here. I'm glad you all got to come out. I actually have a golden shovel too, and what I love about this format, this structure, is that there's a poem hidden in it. So I went with the original Gwendolyn Brooks, and this is a piece about her, but about the format also. It's called The Chase. We were gifted gems, and with them we carved new creations real carefully, because while the remix is cool, the original melody makes us move. So we write until there's just enough culture left. Preserve your precious words and show our work like school. Please excuse my dear additional sentences. We just appreciate your absolute value. So we let your work lurk in the margins, subtle and sweet like late night snacks you open with hushed hands. We synchronize each bite to each second strike on this midnight mission. You dealt this straight flush for us to play, and we fall behind only you. the one-of-a-kind queen. We sing praises in this structured sanctuary, drowning out sin with our voices in these borrowed words. We owe you tithes times 10, for this is 100% thin without your influence. We chase you like gulps of gin spilling down tipsy throats on weekends, and we aspire to use these instruments to make just half the jazz you have. We celebrate you in more than just February and June. Your legacy outlives all months, and when we release our renditions, your version reigns, refusing to die, not seeing any golden shovels anytime soon.
Wow. Let's go, poet.
Thank you. And the second piece is separate but better. And I think you'll hear a little bit of everybody in this. All right. I heard you all say this earlier. You said it was all a dream. It was all a dream until we handcrafted realities with the precision of the best barbers. We parted oceans and erected temples that have yet to fade, with tips pointed towards the sky, and the world still lines up to see what survives.
Let's go, poet.
They peered amid our movement and schemed to stop mobility, but we read lines under the gentle glow of dimmed candlelight, soaking wisdom like copper in wishing wells. We coined the phrase the real McCoy, and above all, escaped underground on no tracks without maps. Amazing how we snake through rows of corn.
Come on.
We follow legacies of ladies who led, leftover children of ladies who fed, leaked leche into leeching, screeching little mouths, whose lips twisted put us down, but we the people got up, and we put our palms together, and we made our own proclamations. And every time their plans exclude us, we put ours together, and we make our own, separate, but better.
Come on, let's go.
We create complete tables out of scraps from the bodies of discarded carcasses. We're so seasoned and soulful, masters of agriculture. We raise the stakes. We all that, and a bag of chips. And we laugh and eat well and grow strong. We real cool, like the tip of an ice cream scoop with an elevated level of intellect. We rebuild everything they incinerate and engulf it in love. Drench it in Maxine Waters' reclaim time until it towers proudly over trepidation.
Let's go.
Allow me to reintroduce my folks. We intrigue the world with the ingenuity of electrical engineers. We got the power of Granville Woods, despite what the current books would lead you to believe. We rebrand and expand empires like famous Amos cookies. I'm not lying. We remix and reinvent. That's why when I talk, you hear a little hip hop. My voice box got rhythm and inner city blues and the fervor of 100 Huey Newtons, 1,000 Thurgoods, or a million Marys. Anyone, Jackson, Bethune, Baker, Pleasant, perhaps Jay Blige, better fit your preference. We got it all. We thought it all. We made it and made it better. Separate, but better.
Let's go. Let's go, poet.
Thompson, thank you. Hope you folks are enjoying this evening. Tierra Briscoe is a blogger and poet who believes in the power of the written word. She began her journey in poetry by reading Maya Angelou books and now dreams of being a respected writer and poet. Her biggest accomplishment to date is completing her first poetry collection that will be released next week. Tierra lives in Los Angeles and is devoted to her husband, Kim, homeschools her two kids, Micah and Aya. Keep up with Tierra at the upcoming book and follow her at Natural Tierra. Coming to the stage now is Tierra Briscoe.
Okay, so that was my first time here in Tyrone. Let me just say that was awesome. I love when I see new members of the family. What's up, y'all? Beautiful poem. Thank you. And I'm so honored to be here among all these other amazing poets. Woodrow and I were in the same CLI class, so I consider him still family. When you go with your cohort, you guys become close and you're just really rooting for each other. So I am so proud. I am so honored to be a part of it. And just thank you for all you do, for pushing this forward. It's amazing. Okay, so I did a piece on of course, what happens to a dream deferred, right? And it was one of my favorites as a kid. It's the one I remembered the most. I don't know why it stuck out to me so much, but I think the question kind of kept reverberating in my head. What happens to it, right? And if you really think about that, it's a genuine and honest and deep question to ask. So this is my response to that. What happens to a dream deferred? If left thirsty, it may wither, wilt, and fade like a weary tree, but hang on the fringes of our wan belief. If left in the sun, it may dry, wrinkle, and set like a golden raisin, but preserve itself for our next generation. If left neglected, it may fester, tender and wide like a fresh wound, but it will heal itself to gleam hope anew. If you ask me, a dream may be buried, left alone to die, but thankfully it's a seed and will always thrive.
Wow.
Thank you. So that's that piece, and then I do have one more that I wrote during in 2020 that is not in this book, but I am reading from another book. Like you said, the poetry collection is coming out on April 29th. So thank you. Also, love y'all. I am nervous, baby. Okay, I'm gonna put that out there. But this one, I had a family member at the height of all the things that were going on with BLM through in 2020, and she posted on Facebook. She said, "Sometimes I just wonder why God made Black people. It's like we're the whipping boy of everyone, you know what I'm saying, of all the nations, of all time." So this is my response to her. Why did God make Black people? He wanted a mirrored image of himself to reflect his dominion and power, to share his breath. The very first thing he ever gave us was air, but see, Lucifer was there, jealous. We may come from mud, but brown like the earth, we preserve it. When they say Mother Nature, they talk about us, our skin. Life recognizes life, that's why we blend in. Mother Nature is a Black woman, effortless.
Come on.
We may look the same, many people get us confused. The trees learn to grow from us, our hair grows up as our skin absorbs the sun, the true definition of photosynthesis, feeding the melanin within. Our skin gets deeper brown like the purest, untouched earth and ground. We are the birthplace of life. The waves sway like our hips, envious of the dip in each thigh. It's the same ebb and flow from heel to toe, heel to toe. The steady beat of feet moving forward, never stopping, taking shape of all we surround and embrace until it becomes as seamless, we define smooth. And the Black man, baby, he stands strong. Well, giving reflection and direction to the most feared element of all, fire. It's like it mimics his movements, speed and heat and agility. It studies his ability to cleanse, bring warmth, and protect. It demands respect, but when mishandled by others, his passion becomes a threat. Fire admires him, rebirth at its best. White men love to hate him, not knowing the very animals they so viciously protect were created to obey him. The air dances around his nostrils, caressing his lips. He controls the flow of energy, inspires beautiful synergy. They are touched by his influence, moved by his mood, impressed by his intellect. They covet his every move. See, God made Black people to hold the combination of his elements, a beautiful edifice he told to breathe. But remember, Lucifer was there. And since that first moment, he's been trying to steal our air. No wonder we can't breathe.
Make sure you support Ms. Bristol's book next week. I know it's out there. Amazing. Thank you. Jasmine Banks is a creator, career educator, encourager, self-proclaimed thought partner. Every day she makes a choice to make a priority of inventing herself and her community. Her purpose is life to encourage others vow to do the same for themselves through servitude, actions, and ultimately with their shared personal journey of self-love and empowerment in her poetry. Jasmine resides and leads in South Los Angeles. In her free time, Jasmine enjoys basking in nature, writing, spending time with loved ones, and taking on rigorous physical challenges. Now is Jasmine Banks.
Pretty well. I was nervous. My eyesight isn't the best, so I may not be able to see my words very well. But I want to say, thank you first off to Woody. Woody is just an amazing person. Like when he puts his mind towards something and he has a vision, like there's nothing that will stop him. And the beautiful thing about his vision and the work that he does, it's not just about him moving forward, but community moving forward. So I just want to say thank you for 1619 Speaks and just inviting us all into this collection and into this space together today. So I am Jasmine Banks. I am an educator, as Woody mentioned, and a poet. And I know within this anthology, we are, paying homage to Black activists, artists, and poets in current day as well as in our past. And it only made sense for me first to honor my father. Because he was like my first introduction into poetry. He was my first introduction into what it means to behold community. He also is a contributor into 1619 Speaks. Try to convince him to make his way up this way, but he, lives in the IE, so he was like, "I'll see y'all on Zoom." But he's a beast with his pen, so I hope that you enjoy his poetry as well if you attend the Zoom session on Wednesday. So without further ado, I will do He Taught Me How to Fish. Study hard, be diligent, intelligent, and creative. With one hand on the wheel and one hand waving goodbye, he gives me permission to say hello to a new day of learning. Day upon day, year upon year, my dad utters these words, creating a ripple effect, surpassing my surface and expanding my self-worth and pride. Vowels and consonants that he strings together at the base of his tune unite in my eardrums, speaking a chorus that releases excellence out of me and really allows me to believe in who I can be. My dad, my wise man, who delivers these words, who transcend galaxies. Words that he shares with a smile whose radiance competes with the SoCal sun. Mahogany cheeks that rival the yellow star, eclipsing its shine with his melanin glow. He encouraged Nagini Jazzy to stop conforming to fit into the sandbox, whose frame refused to let the specks of my gift come out and play. He yelled cut during my awkward stage, so my melancholy jazz production couldn't be printed from the lifted screenplay. He dipped me into the artistic pools of Langston, Maya, and Jill, leaving Jasmine forever drenched with the wave of our Black force. Ooh, I messed that up. Couldn't manifest from the screenplay. He dipped me into the artistic pools of Langston, Maya, and Jill, leaving Jasmine drenched with the force of our Black wave makers. When jazz silenced herself, he let the pen woo me with its glide, acknowledging my feelings with every droplet of ink. I look upon his kind eyes, frame as storybooks to my soul. Stare at his eyeglasses and see an Aaron glaring back at me, an empowered version of myself and the reflection of his lenses. In a world where this little Black girl can feel lost, unseen, and devalued, he taught me the hell my voice can raise, the heaven my words can form, the imprint my echo can make on this earth for decades to come. I call him my Papa Bear for a reason. He takes pride in raising this cub. He brought me to the river and taught me how to fish, to dip my paws into icy waters, and to discover a meal that I can feast on for years.
Wow.
Okay, and then this one is actually in the anthology, so it's Battle Cry. It was inspired by Aaron. It's okay. With his piece Johannesburg. And so in that piece, there's two lines that really stood out to me. So he says, yes, the blood is flowing, but I'm happy that resistance is growing. Battle Cry. The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching one by one, hurrah. hurrah. The ants go marching one by one. The little ones stop to say we're far from done, and they all go marching down to the ground. Skies stream the tears of mothers whose sons lay still. Clouds erupt with the thunderous agony of Alton and Philando's daughters. What would life be if we were like ants? Microscopic beings ducking and dodging an inevitable downpour, frantically communicating to prevent their loved ones from being washed away, transmitting messages of a surefire path of survival. Laborious beings, we march because our ancestors' tongues were ripped from their mouths, fed lies and a narrative of inferiority despite the magic that nestled beneath their ribs. The ants go marching two by two, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching two by two, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching two by two. The little one stops to link arms with the crew, and they all go marching down to the ground. Flowers saturated with coagulated blood of children long lost.
Oof.
Shamir and Ayana's petals were robbed of a full bloom. What would life be if we were like ants? Microscopic beings on a fast track to syrup scents, in the pursuit of plush blueberries rolled onto Earth's soil, salivating, leaving a trail for our friends to feast on. The glorious beings, we protest because we are deprived of sweet justice. Our bitter taste reacts to poison-laden seeds planted in our community. The ants go marching three by three, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching three by three, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching three by three. The little one stops to mask the tear gas that's free, and they all go marching down to the ground. Soil shakes as Eric's lungs collapse. Pebbles bounce as Freddie's spine crumbles. What would life be if we were like ants? Microscopic beings who wait for proverbial orders from the top. The glorious beings, we embody our elders and tread with tenacity, engrave our shields with the names of those slain, repelling rubber bullets of blue evil. The ants go marching four by four, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching four by four, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching four by four. The little one stops to recruit some more, and they all go marching down to the ground. Roots coil as Tony's life grasped, and their brethren stay silent. Twisted roots whose hairs reclude as Roxanne's murder was covered due to her choice. What will life be if we were like ants? Microscopic beings whose differences aren't stamped by rank. Glorious beings, we must chant to honor the small footprints of our kin who have glorious shoes to fill. Our voices must buoy to the changing waves of deep waters. We must part the seas to defend our bloodlines. We must share the coordinates of our sanctuaries for fellowship. The ants go marching five by five, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching five by five, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching five by five. The little one stops to stay alive, and they all go marching down to the ground. We shall march on. We shall live in possibility.
Wow.
Thank you.
Alana Chattel is a 20-year-old Black poet born and raised in Los Angeles, California. She has been writing for 7 years, beginning at Hamilton High School, where she wrote the school's poetry team, Hamlet, and completed a Get Lit competition from 2017 to 2020. She was the Poetry Out Loud 2020 county representative for Los Angeles and placed second in state competition. Chantel was also a youth representative of LA Arts Recovery Fund Donors Banquet at the Getty Museum.
Let's go.
She hosted an open mic in collaboration with Nate Davis, Black Yard Show from 2018 to the beginning of the pandemic. She now works for Street Poets Incorporated as a teaching artist. She is a 2021 graduate of CLI. Culminated with the program at 18 years old. Full body of work. Chantel signed to World Stage Press and released her first collection of poems, Little Black Poetry Book, on September 25th, 2022. Coming to the stage now is Ayana Chantel.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ayana Chanel. Okay, so this first piece is titled, I Heard the Singing from a Grandmother's Soul That I Could Not Comprehend. And it's inspired by Amazing Grace. And if you know, like, Amazing Grace, you know that it's in every Black church that you go to. Like, it's one of the earliest songs that we know, learned growing up in church. And so I was very shocked to find out who was actually written by. And I find the origin of that song interesting because it was written by a white person who was a slave trader.
Yep.
And I just see a lot of this repeating theme of us having to make comfort in things that were not originally intended for us. Us having to make homes and like survive within concepts that are not meant for our survival, and us still being able to prosper within it. And so just hearing the song, like going to church, hearing it over and over again, realizing its origins, it brought a different like spirit into my soul. And still, every time I hear my grandmother sing it moves me in a way that I can't, like, it moves me within a spiritual way that I can't comprehend, you know? So this is dedicated to her and to that piece and just the complexity of that feeling. I heard the singing from a grandmother's soul that I could not comprehend, a naive state of being. I would watch her gather decades of wisdom into her chest and pour it out like rivers. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. No understanding of what that sweet melody means and why it would bring her to tears. All I knew was that she was crying, creating fountains of waters for her to wade in. I would watch her wash away that pain with every line, listen to her journey through a tune that she bellowed like a rainstorm, feel the dew droplets on my face, like this water would flow through both of us, and I soon learned what grace was. I would soon learn that I sounded just like grandma when crying out, like voices can carry for generations. There is no way to drown out these sorrows. Nana would baptize me in spirit, but I was still barely floating. And I found that grace comes from just keeping your head above the surface. Realized that I could have been washed away a long, long time ago. I heard the singing from a grandmother's soul that I did not comprehend. And now we share this symphony.
Yeah. Come on.
Thank you.
Go, poet.
This next piece is a response to Maya Angelou's and Still I Rise. It's just in honor of all the Black women that have come before me, beyond me, continue to push me in my circle, the ones that I grew up with and the ones that I'm currently growing with. So this is titled Still Rising. I am refusing to ever descend again after my mother, my great-mother, my great-grandmother, and those before and beyond me have all endured broken wings to one day ensure that I would catch wind. See, I rise because Maya said so, explaining to me that my existence is never burdened, it is not cursed, no, I am heavenly. Her voice like gospel, and I will always respond to good news, so I rise.
because I was birthed from dead flames. So you're damn right, I sure have been through hell. I rise because too many will find satisfaction in my downfall. See, I've been hunted at like duck season, aiming at my every move. So yes, they will be upset when I make it out alive. I rise because I know no other direction. It is built into me like going south for winter, internal compasses passed down through North Star guidance. This is instinct. It always has been, and there is nowhere to go but up. Thank you.
As you can see, these poets have used the giants to inspire them, and we're going to hear some fantastic pieces this evening. That's all in this book. Sylmar native and now Los Angeles-based poet Nadia Hunter-Bay is the author of Restoration of Orange, World Stage Press 2017, is on a mission to give a voice to those whom society expects to suffer in silence and be grateful. She performed at the Poets Jazz House in Leimert Park, Vibrations in Inglewood, Rock Cafe, Shades of Africa in Long Beach, and the Swam in Los Angeles. After creating her own virtual mic, Say That Sis, 2019 to 2020, she has recently had a nationwide exposure of countless virtual open mics. Longtime attendee and former host of World Stages, Ashanti's Writer Workshop, is now a book layout designer who helps local authors prepare their manuscripts for self-publication. Nadia is currently crafting a second book that will be self-published in autumn of this year, 2023. You can find her on Instagram at nadieb.orange. Coming to the stage is Nadia Hunter-Bay.
Everybody hear me okay? Yeah. It's an honor to be here, to be amongst so many well-seasoned, well-versed pens. It's a beautiful, beautiful project. All right now. That's what they call a sound confirmation. The universe is in tune. Yeah, so it's just an honor to be amongst y'all. So this first poem is it's inspired by Phyllis Wheatley, by her being put on trial and having her genius questioned. And there's a few lines from a poem called On Virtue that said, O thou bright jewel, in my aim I strive to comprehend thee, thine own words declare, wisdom is higher than a fool can reach. This poem is called Rust on the Soul of a Woman. She's the feather in my pen, queen mother of the head wrap griot gang, held my hand as a child, heart as a teen, has found rest in my woman. Who wrote you poetry? Thank the Most High for your breath. Who honored your woman, danced to the beat of your rhythm, who sold your breath to be validated by 16 men. Their 2 cents never purchased your freedom. Having to be tested by judges, the cost of being brilliant. 7 years old, became a woman on foreign shores. 16 years old, an elder, first of our kind, my kind, the underestimated, unappreciated, taken for granted, the poetic woman. All right, so I don't know if y'all have been to the Anansi Writers Workshop at the World Stage in Leimert Park on a Wednesday. If you haven't, go on and go bathe in them waters and let that wash over you. It's definitely a local experience that you should have, especially especially if you're published by World Stage Press. You better go by the World Stage and get some of that culture on you. The women of that village, they help shape me. You know, we go through a point where we have to reparent ourselves and we get to pick our family. And so this is about family that I feel like they picked me, but I'm glad it was mutual. It's called Safe and Found. In a room full of well-aged wisdom, a raven turned my words to ink. Wombs telling stories I have only heard but never tasted. I yearn to be this grown, seasoned in sacrifice that matters, glow that fuses insides to timelessness. They hug me, nudge me, pour into my spirit like collection plate on Easter Sunday. Of course, you belong to us. I long to allow this sisterhood to quench the drought of motherhood, to accept their love as I am enough, am seen here, fertile ground and blooming. Mothers, aunties, and the flyest cousins, we sit in communion, sip gratitude as ashes coat our vessels, weaving the destiny of our daughters into our hair, tucking guarantees into left atria, hopes nestled into right. We till healing and nurture background DNA swirls. Degnan is forever Anansi cauldron. Village soup pot hips have overflowed, fed, boiled, birthed, and suckled us all. It is more of a world stage than a world stage where we sit and simmer the mistreatments off one another. Ladles, broomsticks, and bourbon jars. Candles, beads, and the championship chalice. We ain't never been into no bullshit. We bring our best. Raw, in need of cultivated ears. Fingers that know good bones and one-liners can birth a manuscript. Dedication spells its name V-K-A-L-I. She angel at the gate of don't play. Gargoyle perched on purpose. Every type of greatness grows in this here garden. Sequoias, gloriously strong, with roots we use as pews during service. L baptizes us in illest truth, as Pearl demonstrates how to salt and pepper satin a revolution. Naila gon' sing our sorrows into submission. Jahaz Ayanabu gon' come through with a two-handed hallelujah. She say talking to us about our stardust and miracles. Sister Edna's in the tradition of medicine and victuals. Ruth Foreman teaching our babies how to bloom. My joy is our joy, overflowing with the fullness of love. Daisies built palm tree strong, inspire us to remain planted in our gifts. Yellow woman keeps us safely in apron pocket during Gatorback altar calls. Close enough to fire so all burns are healed with sunflower roux. Hustle diva, make sure our peace is unavailable. Raises hand and shouts, you better write. Lisbeth transits glory into spirit, Spanish, and ether. Pam Ward's 43rd in a short dress press that don't take no mess and is always full throttle. Seedlings that were raised to laugh at concrete misconceptions of what the art of woman is, how it should be honored, and who has say-so on the direction they can grow. This is hallowed ground. Hollow souls can't even tread lightly round here. Sacred is the code word for admittance. We don't speak easy. Fluent in truthinese and watch your mouth, sucker. Come here, donation in hand, reverence round throat, prepared to bow before divine feminine, like you know goddess work deserves. I am bionic peach among elderberries, sweet peppers, sunflowers, and sage, safe and found. One last piece to share with y'all, and y'all know Father MD of the Watts Prophets. So one of the sweetest, gentlest, but firmly to the point souls I have ever met, ever had the honor of having breathed on me. Him, Baba Kamal Daoud, the co-founder of the World Stage. Some of these great, great giants I've had the honor of. Sometimes you just got to sit in the back and just watch them do their thing and let it, it's like rub it in like shea butter, right? And so we had shea butter for they was talking about coconut oil. And so, just this is called legacy. Gentle giants roam free in our adulation, stepping over seedlings with graciousness, poems in our teeth, grit in our smile. We dance in the promise of their shadows. Humility pads the feet of the revolutionary. Their spirit soars above cedar tops, using eagle wings as inspiration springboard, never afraid to bend down in love from muscle memory. Come witness greatness and service, purpose on sleeve, gratitude is feather on a stingy brim, kind of royalty. Forever I am child and shine with the glow that came before me, growing into the groove on the bench etched by my pen, excited to sit at a table made of consideration, polished and can't stop, won't stop, each mission carved into tabletop, so we may see our reason for feasting, how to make the next generation's plate. Legacy is best served trust fund hot, library full, and sacrifice well documented. Hold the generational curses with some fertile land on the side. We are the reason they stay. They are the reason we come back. May we always have an appetite to tell our stories. Love our elders and youth and community. Village is breath and skin braided into hip bones. Son of a griot tattooed on our soul. Spoken word tradition, our inheritance. Rich as the hue of the first human pen. Deep as the river of memories in which we dip our tongue. Close your eyes and see yourself. Yesterday's servant is gracious in today's remembrance. Great grandmothers rest easy in our determination. Baba sips on us slowly in a mahogany rocking chair on the front porch. Rhythm of home-fashioned heartbeat in our palms, throat ever ready, well-lettered, sun-bathed, and fire-tested. We are who we came for. Storyteller and audience, uncoordinated mouths in sync with the divine, land on which gentleness roams. Our understanding of our commission is the reason it can only go so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Andrea Lee is a poet, chef, and author of Power to Change the Way to Love Yourself and upcoming connections between expressions of love, feelings of love, courage, and betrayal coming out the summer of this year, 2023.
Let's go.
Lee is also embarking on a new journey of becoming a children's book author. She's passionate about helping people understand the positive connection that they create with others. Lee writes about love, loss, betrayal. Her books and poetry have been published with Silent Spark Press, Sims Library of Poetry. She's the creator of www.writingjourney101.com, www.writingjournal01.com, Poetry in Motion, co-creator of Verses and Vibe, lead host a weekly poetry show on Let's Talk Radio on Thursdays at 8 p.m. She grew up in Los Angeles and the mother of 4 children. She's passionate about empowering and improving her community by creating literary programs for teens and young adults. Andrea is an alumni of CLI and also is an assistant teacher. Coming to the stage is Andrea Lee.
Thanks to CLI, Hiram Sims, and everybody in attendance. My teacher, Ravina, such an awesome and inspiring person. I learned so much from her. So grateful. Love you too. The first piece I'm going to read is called Unfair Justice. In the shadows of a world unjust, I stood and watched and yearned, a tale of darkness in the mist where bodies softly burned. The Black community in chains, a people torn apart, a battle waged on hearts and minds on ever aching heart. Disenfranchised, ostracized, no justice to be found. Yet from the depths of sorrow sung an unrelenting sound, a chorus rising from the night, a baking in the storm, for in the face of cruelty, a people will was born. Why must we suffer in despair and carry such a weight? What crime committed? What foul deed has sealed this battle fate? I questioned in the still of night as I began to see the depths of inequality, its pain, its heartache. And as my eyes were open wide, my heart did start to shift. The lens of life once clouded by a subtle shift and rift. A bridge to understanding formed, compassion's fire stirred, a unity in empathy, injustice, undeterred. What can we do to right the wrong, to break the chains that bind? How can I build a better world, one fair to all mankind? As I questioned, things raced through my mind, thoughts, questions, never answered. With hope and love and empathy, a brighter world consumed. The colors of the world around did change before my eyes. No longer afraid, but vivid, bold, and wise. The tapestry of mankind, a story rich and grand, and justice may be present still, but now I understand. For in the face of darkness, we must rise and stand as one, to challenge the hate and prejudice until the battle's won. The questions asked, the voices raised, a chorus sung and clear, to seek a world of equality and make it persevere.
Wow.
My second piece is in an anthology, 16 Speak. It's titled Us. So I worked with many Black people, and I feel like sometimes like we try to keep each other down, and it bothered me so much because I love us, right? I love everybody, especially Black people, and I want to learn from a lot of different people. So I thought I feel like it's my duty to change the way we feel and care for each other, no matter what happens. I don't know every Black person in the world, so I can't say every woman or every man is the same. So I got to see people for who they are individually. So I wrote this poem, and it's going to start off a little rough, but it's going to end great. Us. They labeled us, banded us, abused us, owned us, used us, turned us, separated us, mistreated us. In my lifetime, I have never been mistreated, disrespected, turned on, abused, used, cursed, put down, led astray by no one other than my own race. I never knew what it felt like, the betrayal, the envy, the jealousy, the disregard, the lies, the backstabbing, the mistrust, the misleading, and it all came from us. I was taught that they were the bad ones. They were the racist ones. They were the ones that were disregarding me, put me down, lied on me, backstabbed me, betrayed me. I'm not saying that there aren't some racists out there that don't like me, but I've never been in a situation where I have to face fears in front of them. It's always been us. The nightmares walking, the psychopaths talking, the predators, the rapers, the child molesters, my mother, my father, my sister, my coworkers, us, my own race, where the people that looked like me turned on me, disregarded me, raped me, beat me, betrayed me, lied on me, gave up on me, but never have I ever given up on us. I still love us, fight for us, stand up for us. I am the just one amongst us that's going to change the stigma about us. All it takes is just one of us to change how we think, how we feel about us, how we love us, how we connect with us, how we treat us, how we care for us, how we are there for us, how we show up for us, how we build with us, how we are loyal to us, how we value us. It's time for us to change us, control the narrative, change the stigma about us. No more nightmares, no more fears, no more tears. Build trust in us. Thank you.
Thank you. As you sit in this magical place, it had to come from somewhere. You came from a man with a suitcase full of books and a dream. We all have dreams. The question is, do you make those dreams become a reality? Which he did. Coming up now is the executive director of the Sims Library of Poetry, the largest library of poetry for African American poets west of the Mississippi River. And it's in our neighborhood. So you should clap for that alone. Known as the captain of the clique, Mr. Hiram Sims.
All right. First of all, this might sound like a weird thing to say, but I walked in here about 20 minutes ago, and I just want to say, y'all smell really good. I walked in here like, this is vanilla mist in the. I know that's weird, but I just have to say that. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to every author that's in this book, and so proud of y'all. And I especially want to give a shout out to my man Woody Woodrow Bailey over here. You know, like, and I want to tell you why, because it had to be a year ago or more that Woody was like, I have an idea for this project, 1619 Speaks, and it's going to be a book and it's going to be a show. And I was like, good luck with that. You know, like, I was like, that sounds good, do it. And a year later, it's here. We're holding it in our hands, right? So, you know, like, I really respect Woody for many reasons, but one of them is because, you know, in the CLI classes, we ask students to read and write every day, and Woody actually did it. He got to work 2 hours early and then wrote in his car every day. And that's how he finished his book. And one of the things that happens, I read this, you know, good short essay. It's called The Backside of a Dream. And it said, like, what happens after you accomplish a dream? And what happens is there's another one waiting. There's another one waiting for you. So what happens when you finish a book? There's another one waiting. You know, like, there's another one. DJ Khaled. So I just want to say I'm proud of Woody for continuing the work of writing and continuing the work of making books. Doesn't it look good? It's like, this book is so conceited. Like, I'm holding it like, it's like, all right, so I wrote the foreword, so I just want to read that. And I do have a poem in the book, but I just want to read the foreword. Foreword is called Even a Year Has Something to Say. Starts with a quote from Maya Angelou. You, the Ashanti, the Yoruba, the Kru, bought, sold, stolen, arriving on a nightmare, praying for a dream. In my meditation on the title of this book and its contents, I thought about this question: what does a year have to say? If the year 1619 could speak and explain to me its dark and troubled history, what would it say to me? I think it would say it began hopeful, like any other year, wanting to mark itself with important dates and accomplishments. But over the course of those melancholy months, the beginning of a great tragedy would begin and echo itself throughout the ages. It would mark the beginning of slavery in a country not yet conceived and the silencing of 1 million Black voices. If the year 1619 could utter language, it would utter the same sentence every year has uttered for the next 247 years. A Black person writing poetry in the United States of America is an act of treason. I describe this period in Black history as the Great Silencing, because in the year 1830, it became illegal for Black people to read and write anything, a crime in some places in the South punishable by death. And although the law did not reflect this reality until 1830, this prohibition of paragraphs began in 1619. One might ask, why would a slave master want to keep a slave from writing? The ideology of the time was that Black people were not human beings, and the act of barring someone from capturing their feelings, emotions, and experiences is an act of dehumanization. It was a furthering of Manifest Destiny's cursed ideologies, the greatest one being the belief that anything non-white is non-human, and therefore subject to subjugation and erasure. But there was hope, and there is hope today, that these voices and stories will not be forgotten. The true accomplishment of this book lies in the desire to reach back and reclaim the poems and stories lost to us during this time of sorrow and labor. The writers in this book have done the arduous work of remembrance and exhuming. We have in our journals and notebooks conjured the lost and forgotten stanzas, yearning to be heard, remembered, memorized, chanted. Maya Angelou wrote a line in a poem that most perfectly echoes the spirit of this book. She said, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. These incredible words live on in Black consciousness, past her life and into the great historical record of Black memory. Black poets writing and publishing their works are fulfilling the dreams of our ancestors who lived through captivity. It was their hope for themselves and for us to one day be able to speak freely, move freely, and write freely. The year 2023 has something to say to the year 1619. And that is very simply that Black poetry matters. Black voices matter. Black lives mattered. They mattered then, and they matter now. Thank you all.
Thank you, Captain. All right. Our last poet this evening, philosophy. Is an extremely accomplished and debonair poet, and professional credits include TV One's Verses and Flow, opening act for Grammy Award-winning Gary Clark Jr. and songstress Aldous Smith, featured artist for Live Poet Showcase, keynote poet for 2021 Pan-African graduation at CSU Long Beach, opening act for world-renowned poet Saul Williams and his Master Losing Tour. He's an ambassador for the Youth Poet Laureate in Long Beach, California. He has recruited by Google's Diversity and Equity and Inclusion Department to implement spoken word workshops, brand ambassador for Y0, and TF Cars, producer of Pan-African Film Festival Spoken Word Fest in 21 and 22, City of Long Beach, and is a major office commissioner of a mural in his honor. He's a proud member of the Poet Collectives and Diverse Verses in Long Beach. Never speak.
Here comes a hot poet.
Rock, rock.
Coming to the stage, Brother Philosophy.
Hey, y'all. How you doing? First and foremost, like, I stand in front of you, like, in gratitude to have such a remarkable place like this, to be a part of a collective with everyone here putting their best foot forward and writing from the epicenter of their truth and being able to put that on page as immortality. I'm so blessed to be a part of it. Oh, Captain, my captain, you stood a real OG, Hiram Sims. So this poem is actually in the book, and initially when I sat down and I was thinking about where my father is from, Alabama, and then I thought about where my mother is from, like LA, and these two people then birthed myself, and my father would tell me these stories of what was happening in Alabama at the time when he was growing up, like whites only, blacks only, and things he had to say like Mr. and Mrs. and yes, ma'am. And he was telling me these stories and I was like, yeah, man, whatever. And then I went to college and then heard these same stories from my professors. And then hearing these stories, I was like, wait a minute, I know exactly what happened. And then from that, then I went into Black Studies at Cal State Long Beach, and that's what I ended up graduating with a Black Studies degree because of stories that I had heard, and then taking that from what my father gave me, that what my mother gave me, and then pushing that forward and propelling that forward, and that's how I stand in front of you today. So this poem was written from pulling from these two people who birthed me.
All right, let's go.
I'm a soldier of sojourner truth with a noose around the neck of racism, racing. Masters and bloodhounds chasing my 40 acres in a mule like Kunta Kinte, wrapped in kente cloth. Guillotine, foot cut off, caught running. Jackie Joyner, Kersey through Miles Davis and muddy waters. I am Dizzy Gillespie's trumpet played in triumph. And in victory, I am Black history in the making. I am cross burnings and church bombings in Birmingham, the angry aftermath of Emmett Till, death do we part. I am the name of Rosa Parks, whose petals stem from silence soiled in revolution, growing to fight for the rights movement, moving to right like Langston Hughes in the sun. Whatever happened to the gentle American dream? It seems deferred. Did it dry up like a dysfunctional family raising a son planted on plantations? I am collard greens, candy yams, cotton gin bled fingertips. Blood drips from scarred backs and broken spines. I've been to the mountaintop. And I've seen the dream of Martin Luther, once kings and queens, dying out of the diaspora of Africa. Sardine-packed blacks on rat-attack ships drifting on bio-vomit and festering feces. Believe me, I am Nat Turner's hatchet, hacking at 3/5 of a constitution that constantly belittles blacks, confetti cutting, killing Caucasian captains of the Confederacy. I am Amistad. Give us free. Black history in the making. Medgar Evers, cornered by the Ku Klux Klan with a shotgun cocked in his right hand, pushing bullets hand over fist, killing a large list of casualties. This is Black history. Harriet Tubman, tunneling through the Underground Railroad, derailing slavery, slaving to tell her own narrative and narrating freedom to all forefathers and answering the prayers of our ancestors. I am Black. Shoe polish, place heavy on the face of a Black Sambo, eating watermelon, red lips, sleep and eat while man-tan tap dances to the beat of his own oppression, depressing generations to come. I said it, come be bamboozled with Bentley whips and Jacob's chains. We must change ignorance into intelligence and make it relevant. I am Kamala Harris. Black steps in the White House lawn. I am philosophy, and we are Black history in the making. Thanks, y'all.
An amazing night. Couldn't have done it without all of the poets that invested their time to do this project. The editors, contributors, not only myself, but Fly High and Tommy Domino and Carl Sky couldn't have put the book together. Like Captain said, it was just a conversation a little more than a year ago. And now it's fruition of a full-fledged book with all these amazing poets in one collection. So I'm extremely honored and blessed to be a part of it. And once again, like I said, I thank every poet that's contributed, came up tonight. Those are in the book. The audience here, for you coming out and listening. Like I said, keep that date in your minds. You know, they're canceling out in states that you already know about, Florida and Texas, even the term 1619. They don't want any of these kids to know that we arrived here. We had to come from somewhere. We didn't just magically start growing here. We were brought here. So keep that date in mind moving forward. So once again, thank you for coming out. Remember the survey we asked you to do that's in the back. We appreciate you doing that moving forward. And as the captain said, read every day, write every day. Thank you.
Woody, the book is for sale. The books are for sale.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, the book is on sale in the back. Well, how about that, huh? Oh, the book is on sale in the back. So generous purchase, $20. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So make sure I'll mess that up moving forward. But once again, thank you for coming out and having.
Woody,
yes.
Is there any future dates you have for the anthology?
Yes, sir. Zoom, there'll be a Zoom telecast this Wednesday on the 26th. Yes. And we're still working on some other dates in the future, so be on the lookout for it on Instagram and those devices when we're going to put this together again. We do have shows we're going to do for this project. Like I said, thank you once again. Have a safe evening. Thank you once again.
hello. If you're